The old theater stood on a hill overlooking the town. It was a crumbling ruin. Broken windows stared out like empty eyes. The chipped paint looked like scabs on an old wound. The air around it was always cold. It smelled of damp wood and decay. The Grand Majestic Theater had once been a place of joy and laughter. Now, only whispers and shadows remained. Legends spoke of strange noises and ghostly apparitions. Most people avoided the place, but not Murat, Elif, and Kamal. Murat was fearless. He loved a good scare. He was sure the stories about the theater were just that, stories.
Come on, it's just an old building. What's there to be afraid of?
Elif was always laughing. She thought the whole thing was a big joke, but secretly she was a little bit scared.
Oh, Murat, you and your crazy ideas. But what if the stories are true?
Kamal tried to be the voice of reason. He didn't believe in ghosts. He thought the theater was just old and creepy.
Seriously, guys, it's just a bunch of old wood and dust. There's nothing supernatural about it.
They had dared each other to spend the night in the theater. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Now, standing in front of the decaying building, they weren't so sure. The front doors creaked open with a groan. Dust swirled in the musty air. Cobwebs hung like macabre decorations. The only light came from the moon shining through the broken windows. Murat led the way, his flashlight beam dancing across the darkness.
All right, let's see what all the fuss is about.
They explored the dusty lobby. They peeked into the empty dressing rooms. Each sound made them jump. A loose floorboard creaked. A curtain swayed in a non-existent breeze. They were just shadows and echoes, playing tricks on their minds. Or were they?
Did you hear that? It sounded like someone whispering.
It's just the wind, Elif. Don't let your imagination run wild.
They finally reached the stage. The velvet curtains were tattered and faded. The once grand set was now a pile of rotting wood. And then they saw it. A portrait hung on the back wall. It was a woman in a long, flowing gown. Her eyes seemed to follow them.
That's really unsettling. Do you think she was someone important?
At the bottom of the portrait, a note was pinned. "Beware the witching hour," it read. "When the clock strikes 3, she will sing again."
Ha, someone's trying too hard to spook us.
Murat laughed. Elif shivered. Kamal just shook his head. This was getting creepy, even for him.
Okay, now this is starting to feel a bit too real. Maybe we should rethink this whole thing.
Time crawled by. The old clock on the wall ticked slowly towards 3 in the morning. The air grew colder. The shadows deepened.
We have to stay strong, everyone. We can't let this place get to us.
Yeah, let's keep our spirits up. Why did the ghost go to the party? Because he had nobody to dance with. Heh.
Murat tried to act brave. Elif told jokes to hide her fear. Kamal kept looking at the portrait.
Guys, is it just me, or does the woman in the painting look like she's smiling now?
The clock chimed 3 times. A cold wind swept through the theater. The portrait fell from the wall with a crash. Dust filled the air. And then they heard it. A voice. Singing. It was beautiful and haunting. The singing grew louder. It seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once.
What is this?
Kamal looked around frantically for the source of the voice. And then he saw it. A figure was standing center stage. It was a woman in a white dress. She was laughing?
Is she laughing?
The ghostly figure wasn't mournful or scary. She was laughing hysterically, clutching her stomach as she doubled over. It was so unexpected, so out of place, that Murat, Elif, and Kamal couldn't help but stare in bewildered amusement. The laughter echoed through the theater. It was infectious.
This is insane.
Then Elif joined in.
I can't believe this.
Even Kamal couldn't help but chuckle.
What on earth is happening?
The ghost stopped laughing. She looked at them, her expression unreadable. And then, just as suddenly as she appeared, she vanished. The 3 friends didn't need any more convincing. They ran out of the theater as fast as they could. The sound of their own laughter mixed with the fading echoes of the ghostly laughter behind them. They didn't stop running until they reached the bottom of the hill. Out of breath, and still a little shaken, they finally looked back at the abandoned theater. It stood silhouetted against the rising sun, silent and still.
Did we imagine the whole thing?
Was it all just a big joke?
They didn't have the answers, but they knew one thing for sure.
We're not going back there. Not tonight. Maybe not ever.
As they walked away, the first rays of dawn illuminated the theater's chipped paint and broken windows. A single piece of sheet music fluttered down from the stage, landing at their feet. It was a song. The song they had heard the ghostly figure sing. And beneath the notes, scrawled in faded ink, was a message.
The show must go on.
The friends stared at the message, a shiver running down their spines. The grand majestic theater might be abandoned, but something within its decaying walls was still very much alive, and it wasn't finished with them yet.